I love you. Welcome back to the Couch Potatoes. It's a special and beautiful day here.
Yeah.
The government's shooting down aliens.
Oh,
and
we were not talking about you were talking about what we were talking about earlier. Yeah. I thought you were happy about what we're about to talk about.
I'm not happy about what we're about to talk about, no, but I mean, it is kind of sad to watch possible aliens be shot down too, as an alien myself. So
sad.
That's a little heart wrenching.
And I think Howard would agree with you. Howard would agree with you.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, if they saw Howard the Duck as an unidentified flying object coming through the sky, they probably would have shot him down, knowing our government. But there's a little sneak peek. If you didn't read the title, we're talking Howard the Duck today. It's a birth of a new playlist.
That's
and I am the Green Traveler from Gorsh,
and I am the Faceless Leon. This is a podcast about movies and TV called Green and Faceless on the Couch. And this is the Marvel playlist. And guess what?
Welcome.
Lucasfilms, back in good old 1986, decided that the first Marvel movie would be Howard the Duck.
Yeah. Yeah, they had... We briefly discussed whether or not we should go all the way back to the serial days. When, in the war... where they had these little, like, mini-film kind of things that all together make up one big movie. They made Captain America, I don't know, in the 40s or 50s. And we decided...
the serial was in 44.
44, and
it was 21 years. This is just in the first paragraph on the Howard the Duck Wikipedia.
Oh, shit, really?
On the movie Wikipedia, yeah. Also, in that first paragraph, I learned that in Europe, they called it Howard, a new breed of hero.
God, that's awful. Yeah, I'll take Howard the Duck over that. That's a bad name.
I think it's a wonderful name.
But I mean, Marvel had been succeeding pretty well with television shows. There have been other television shows in the last, 20-some years. I don't know which ones. I can't think if the Incredible Hulk show is in the 70s or if it was the 80s.
I don't know. I think it was the 80s because Pumping Iron is where he got his start, and I'm pretty sure that was in the 80s.
Fair.
Being Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah, thank you. And so, somewhere along the line, 1973, George Lucas makes a film called American Graffiti. And in the process of making American Graffiti, he was reading the comic books of Howard the Duck, I guess, and decided, I want to make this movie. And so he roped his friends who have helped him in many films, Willard Hyuk and Gloria Katz. Oh, I'm sorry, Willard. I can't pronounce your name without doing it. It's just... And that's probably not even how you pronounce it. It's probably Hyuk. It's Huyck.
I think it might be a made-up name by somebody who did not want to be credited as a director.
But it's not. It's not. He's friends with this guy. The guy wrote fucking Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Oh, shit.
That's what he's worked with Lucasfilms for years, and he comes along and Lucasfilms George Lucas is his production company. That's it. No, before he got to Howard the Duck, because they thought of doing it back in the 73.
Oh, really?
Did not get made until 1986.
Yeah, 86.
So it took many years to get there. But he relinquished, George Lucas relinquished control of Lucasfilm before this, so he could focus on producing films. And that's pretty much all he is on this film, is he's a producer. And this film is a hot mess. Mm-hmm. So, we'll get into it. But Marvel decided that they were just we want this big success. We want something beautiful and good. And along comes Lucasfilms, who's we want to make this comic, this weird ass comic book, the Howard the Duck book. We want to make this into a movie. And Marvel looked at Lucasfilms, filmography They were just like, well, I don't know if Marvel was really involved too much. It was Universal, I think. But I think at the time, Universal and Marvel were like kind of working together. But anyways,
I don't know. They definitely were in like the 2000s.
Right? Yeah. Well, I can't remember if it goes all the way back to the 80s or not. But yeah, they looked at his filmography, Indiana Jones, Star Wars. Like, he had bits and pieces on Indiana Jones. I don't think it was a Lucasfilms. It was mostly Steven Spielberg. But still, like, he had a record, a pretty good record. And so they're like, yeah, we'll dump some money into this and let this happen. And, wow, what came out was one of the most critically panned films of all time. And one that I watched as a kid.
On Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, man. I watched this as a kid and fucking, like, I don't remember my thoughts on it. Like, I pretty much purged it all from memory. I remembered I was very disappointed, and I didn't understand the humor. I didn't laugh once as a kid, and I was very bored. And, like, we had the fortune of watching this together because, you know, we didn't want to both have to spend money on renting this film.
Okay. But before we get too much farther, I do want to say, Incredible Hulk, it was the late 90s and early 80s that it ran.
Late 90s?
Late 70s, early 80s.
Oh, okay.
My bad.
I was just like, wait, I was so confused.
Seasons.
I was like, what?
5 seasons.
Oh, yeah? Wow, 5. I didn't know they made it that far. I would have guessed 2. That seemed to be like the thing of the 60s to the 90s, was you get 2 or 3 seasons and then we destroy you. We've milked you for all you're worth. I say that of the late, of 60s to the 90s, as if Netflix wasn't doing that today on a regular basis. But yeah, this film, like, everything went wrong, like, on set. Like, it was pretty awful. Like, they went way over budget and over scheduling.
No.
Yeah, I know, right? What a shocker. They wanted it to be animated, and I don't know if that means that they wanted. It could have been, but I'm not sure if that means, like, they wanted it to be animated the way, like,
Cool Town is, or whatever it is.
No, what's the rabbit one?
Roger Rabbit.
I'm
that's
blanking.
the same.
Thank you, Roger
same
Rabbit.
Thing. Though.
Yeah, I think they wanted it to be like that, where Howard the Duck would have been animated, but everybody else would have been live action.
Well,
I'm not sure on that, but that's
happy with that. I like that. Stop.
Yeah. But I think the problem was they wanted to avoid Donald Duckisms and Daffy Duckisms. Yeah. And so they were just kind of like, no, we can't do that.
They still got that, didn't they, Tim Robbins?
Ooh. Dude, I also found out this is Tim Robbins' like first, like, not first film, but like his first like bigger film.
Wow.
Like,
how do you still have a career?
Well, I gotta find the casting thing because I had just read this. Tim Robbins had no prior film experience, but Yuck and Cats were confident he was right for the part. And I agree with that. He was totally right for the part. Oh, man. But, like, it was supposed to be animated, but at the last second, Universal wanted to rush it out because they had a summer slot open, and they were just like, it's gonna be that. That's your put it out date, is that summer. Summer of 86, and so they had to rush it. They had to go ham on finishing this fucking film because they had planned to animate it, which meant they had, at least 2 more years left to make it better. Okay. And then they're just like, oh, we can't animate it now. We gotta go. So they hired this kid. They hired this kid named Ed Gale. Jordan Prentice. They hired Jordan Prentice to be Howard the Duck. But Jordan was a kid, and they couldn't film. They couldn't. Yeah. Well, George is also very known to George Lucas. That is very known to work with little people. Yes, and so they had they had Ed Gale to take over for Jordan Prentice when the night shift came around. When they could no longer use a child actor to be in this hot ass suit. And so then they put Ed Gale in there. Okay. And Ed Gale was burning up in there. He was dying. He was also, I think, taller than the kid. So it's like in certain scenes.
Just to make sure we got this correct, Jordan Prentice is also a little person.
Was he?
But he was a kid at the time. He's still fairly young.
That makes sense. Gotcha. Yeah, and they could only use him for certain hours. And then after a while, the process was too grueling, and they went way over schedule, so they just no longer had Jordan Prentice. And so then they had Ed Gale do everything, and that poor guy was just dying in that suit. Like, and they couldn't really make it work, too, because there's so many scenes, because they had used Ed Gale for, like, night scenes as Howard the Duck.
Okay.
So that way the height difference between, Howard the Duck throughout the day wasn't that noticeable. But then once they fired Jordan Prentice, they're like, oh, fuck. Well, they didn't fire him, but they had to, move on from him. They were just like, oh, fuck, what do we do? And so now they're just like, okay, well, now we'll just have Ed Gale do everything, burn up in the fucking suit, and for the stunts that we can't really get down, we'll get, puppets. And so they went through like 100 different puppets of Howard the Duck.
God.
And they had to build them really quick, again, because they're on a fucking
Was
time
Jim
crunch.
Henson on this one too?
No, I don't think so. but I think he would have made a better puppet if so. Yeah, because probably. Their puppets were notorious for exploding or having like fires or like breaking down. Like it was a constant issue. And then when the mouth would move, you could see all the electronics inside and everything. So it was all bad. All bad.
Oh, no.
And then like they also had Ed Gale initially doing the voice, but you couldn't hear him in the suit. Like, you couldn't capture audio or anything. So then they were just like, all right, stop talking. You just do the movements, and we'll have people off camera, read the lines and everything so people know what the fuck's going on. So then that makes it even more weird, because then Howard the Duck's actions versus his vocals don't always match up.
No.
And so then they went through a slew of like, all right, we got to get a voice actor to play him. And so here's some of the big names that they had initially audition for it. John Cusack, Robin Williams, and Martin Short. And they initially hired Robin Williams. He worked on it for a week and then quit because they were forcing him into, you got to lip sync with the duck's bill.
Oh, you can't be
improvising.
He can't do that. That's not him. He's not going to be able to do that.
He said, the literal quote I'm reading here is where Robin Williams said, I can't do this. It's insane. I can't get the rhythm of this. I'm being confined. I'm being handcuffed in order to match the flapping duck's bill. You don't do that to Robin Williams.
No.
Like, you don't put Baby in a corner.
Guy.
Like, come on.
Yeah, don't put Baby in a corner. Though John Cusack could have done it just fine.
John Cusack would have been kind of funny too, yeah.
Yeah.
Instead they get Chip Zien. I don't know Chip Zien for anything. Apparently he was in Into the Woods. I haven't seen the version of Into the Woods that he's in. I've seen many other versions.
I probably have, but I don't know.
I think it's like the original Broadway.
Is it the one with Bernadette Peters?
1987 musical.
Well, in the one I'm
we'll just search
watching,
Peters. Bernadette.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. She was the witch.
Chip played the baker.
Oh, okay. I see him now.
So you're familiar with it. I know the character. I do not know his version of it, but it's kind of funny that's Howard the Duck.
Yeah. All right, let me do a synopsis of what happens in this movie.
Oh, please. Please do.
So, in Howard the Duck, he's a younger age duck. He's just got what you would call a promising job, an advertisement, and he lives in Duck World, where everything's like our world except for ducks. We're ducks.
And
humans are ducks.
It's got 2 moons.
It's got 2 moons? I missed that part.
Yeah, that's the opening. The opening shot is the New York skyline, but with 2 moons, like Tatooine.
I see.
Thank you, George Lucas, you pompous ass.
So he is sitting down with a beer, and he's just trying to relax at the end of the day, and he gets sucked up out of nowhere while he's trying to masturbate.
Yeah. He was just watching TV, man. Come on.
No, he pulled out a play duck. Okay?
But he didn't pull out his penis.
He didn't pull out his penis, you're right. But there is plenty of representation of male duck.
Yeah, I had to point it out every single time it happened. I was just like, there it is. There's the representation. Fascinating story. If you're a couch potato out there and you do not know, go ahead, open up an incognito tab on your Google and look up the duck penis. It's very fascinating. And then after that, do some research on the duck rape evolutionary war. It's really fascinating stuff.
It is really something. It is something, that's for sure. Anyhow, he gets sucked out of his... There's real duck tits in this, by the way. When I say real fake duck tits.
It's dumb.
It's so stupid. Why do they need
it's so
tits?
Weird.
They don't. That's not how...
Well, that was another thing is, like, I think a lot of that was done with like little people actors, but like again, it was like a rush shoot. Like they were just like, we need B footage to make this duck world hilarious because all it is just shitty puns everywhere.
Yes,
like everywhere you look, it's just a shitty pun.
That's the best part, though.
it was like the laziest part. Like pretty much all they did was just take things and replace it with duck. Like I don't have a specific example, but it's just like, yeah, that's right. There you go. Thank you.
Play duck. Yeah.
They just rushed through a lot of those shits, and that was one of them that came into George Lucas's mind because I think that was one of the things he was involved with was the Duck World shoots.
Oh my god!
And I guess he had some kind of furry fetish where he was just like, I want duck boobs.
I want duck boobs, please. Yeah, there's a duck in the bath. That's another thing that's much later in the film. Another weird sexy scene where he's like the towel boy at like an orgy place or something. Yeah. And the guy who owns him decides his employer decides he decides that he doesn't like him just because he's creepy looking, and he's like, get in there and clean the filters or something like that, and he picks him up and throws him into one of the hot tubs, and Howard's like, I can't swim when he's getting thrown in.
Yeah, a good movie would have used that to be a plot point.
To be a plot point. I remember us watching this scene, and then you're like, did that scene have any bearing on the plot at all? And I'm like, you're right, it did not.
Well, it's also because I knew what's gonna happen going forth, and like I was like, okay, I knew up to like the first hour of this film. Right. After a certain point, I'll say I won't spoil the synopsis for you. I'll just say the Dark Overlord comes in. Mm-hmm. I kind of forgot everything after that point. So I was like, when I saw that scene, I was like, maybe in the back half there's more merit to this scene. But I don't remember them ever mentioning that he can't swim ever again. And nope. I don't think they do.
Not important. That definitely was like a little nugget that should have come up in the third act, but it definitely did not.
So it makes this 1 hour and 51-minute film way longer than it needs to be.
Long. It's so long. There's a lot of like weird thing. Oh, like also another weird thing. I know I'm getting ahead of myself again. Is that he beats up this band's manager to become their manager, and like that doesn't really matter by the end of the movie, like at all.
No, it doesn't. And it's also funny too because that's one of like the weirdly bad tonal moments. So it's like, I mean, just to catch it up with the plot is he gets, as you said, he gets sucked from Duck World all the way through space to Earth, and when he lands on Earth, he's like a duck out of water. He's just like, I don't fucking know what's going on. And he's just like, where am I? There's all these hairless apes. He likes to call us hairless apes for the first half of this film. And then that racism goes away immediately when they forget that he calls everybody hairless apes. Yeah. I mean, it's not really racism, I guess, but that's their version of like him being kind of racist.
Well, and people definitely do it to him, especially Beverly at first. Like she's like, I never even had a pet before. Oh god!
So that Beverly is the lady that he first meets. Yeah. Who kind of is able to befriend him, even though he looks really weird as he's a duck.
Yeah.
He can walk and talk, and he's got arms and fingers, and those fingers have fingernails. And the fingernails, I did not know, like, I completely, like, purged that from my mind as well. So watching this movie, that started to bother me a lot. Like, I definitely... Yeah, because I was just like, why does he have fingernails? And then Sarah was just like, oh no, why does he have fingernails? And then we were both just like bothered by that for the rest of the film. Like, we were just like, no, this shouldn't be a thing.
So this movie stars Leah Thompson from Back to the Future fame, which we're about to do that Jacob's at the Movies thing where you play the orchestral score to the movie. And we're about to do Back to the Future, actually. So that's going to be fun.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
But she plays Beverly Switzler. And she is a guitarist, singer in an 80s glam band. And she's got the hair to match. It's huge.
It took 2 hours to make that hair every single day. There's another reason they were behind on schedule. Is she's like, I should have just done a wig. It's like somebody. A lot of these actors get the question, "Do you regret?" Sorry, my duck was coming in there. Do you regret? But it's like, do you regret Howard the Duck? And most of them were kind of like, no, not really. It was a paycheck, Like Tim Robbins, he basically said, no, I got paid pretty well. I got to work with George Lucas, and since the shoot went over schedule, I got paid twice. So he's just like, he's like, I look at the money over the quality of that film, and he's like, I made money off of it, so it's not a regret.
And also,
but Leah Thompson,
it was one of his first films, so it was experience.
Right? Yeah, it got him. I guess it got him noticed in some way. Even he won. This movie got a lot of raspberries, and we'll talk those later as well. But he was nominated for one of those raspberries as worst supporting actor of the year.
Nice.
But Leah Thompson was noted as saying that, I don't know if she regretted the film, but she did regret using her own hair and not wearing a wig because it took 2 fucking hours of makeup and hairstyling.
That's awful.
It's just ridiculous.
Hair. I mean, they didn't even paint her blue or anything. So
no.
she decides she's going to take Howard in, and there's some back and forth with that. That's like the whole first act of the movie, and it's stupid, so I'm gonna skip over that.
He gets mad at her and storms out, and that's when he goes to get a job in New York, and he starts whatever. But then once he has a bad experience there, that's when he comes immediately crawling back to Leah.
Yeah, and he beats up her abusive manager named Ginger.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I was getting at. Is it was like the tone is so fucking off because he is not a hero at all until that moment. And he's not even a hero in that moment, but he thinks of himself as a hero, or he presents himself as a hero. He's just like, you're taking whatever, you treat my friend badly. And he's like, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you, or you're gonna walk out of here.
Yet at that point. Yeah.
She didn't even know he was out there.
Yeah, I don't think so. She was. Well, he is a duck person. That's kind of hard to miss. So she might have seen him. And it was at the bar that she was playing at.
And it was weird because they're playing behind like a cage. Like there was like a weird like grate, like not fence, but like kind of like fence like material between them and the
that's pretty common
people.
That's pretty common. Because especially in the more seedy bars, it's people throw shit at performers.
Okay. So I was gonna say I've never been to a bar like that. I mean, obviously I've never been in New York either, so it's like. Yeah, all the bars I've ever gone to, there is nothing between us and the
because
stage.
It's not very classy. But some of them have
Bird is pretty nice.
No. I'm saying like the fence. Having the fence isn't very classy.
I see. The bars I've been to are classy. I see.
Yeah, they're classier anyways. It definitely gives a closed off feeling, but like if you're in a tougher town, especially a tougher neighborhood, you want to protect your performers, otherwise they might not come back. But hell, if they're getting enough shit thrown at them, you might not want them to come back.
but Beverly and her crew, they would never get stuff thrown at them because they're beautiful. They're really good.
Oh yeah, really good at singing the same song over and over.
Yeah,
and over
yeah. I had to point that out as well. It's just like, man, they really only wrote one song for this. They wrote, I think, 2 or 3. There's like a couple songs. I think Howard sings a song, so it's just like,
wait, doesn't he? Yeah, why?
Yeah, because I think there's a moment where he like plays the piano and sings or something.
Oh, right.
Like, I've
been working on that for years. Yeah.
Yeah. Even though he had no idea what a fucking synthesizer was before that, because he was like, what the fuck? Anyways, it's, God. But that scene in the bar where he beats the guy up is like the weirdest tone shift. and Howard immediately gets his ass handed to him too, which is hilarious. Like, he gets thrown down the bar, and it's just like, they're like, ha ha ha, got him.
I don't know how
he unspools his duck penis and scares the crap out of him.
Yeah, that's how it works.
That would have been a better movie.
So eventually, he does get introduced to Tim Robbins' character, who's dating a member of the band, but Beverly introduces him, being Howard, to Tim Robbins' character, Phil Bloombert, because he's a scientist, but he's really just a grad student. He overplayed his position to the band members.
Then Tim Robbins is one of the 2 actors who is going as far out as they possibly can for these roles. Like,
he's the only. He's like for sure.
Yeah, for the first like hour of this film, Tim Robbins was the only thing I was enjoying. Like. The humor occasionally makes me laugh, but it's only because it's so absurdly stupid that I'm like, it gets to me.
Yes.
But whenever Tim Robbins was on screen, I was like, yeah.
Guys, Couch Potatoes, I am going to warn you that I am in love with this movie. Why? I don't know why. I cannot tell you, because it is objectively really, really bad. So don't worry, I am going to be fair on my deliberations, but you're going to hear me chuckle all the way through because I fucking love it. I don't know why.
It's so stupid. This is like me loving Premises when known as Big Brown Beaver, which you hate and refuse to allow me to play in your presence. And I don't know why, because it's beautiful. It's a great song.
It's not.
It is.
It's just
and the video is awesome.
Like, I don't know. Like, it's so twangy and then hypersexual, and they just don't mix in my brain for some reason.
It's not hypersexual. What are you talking about? She has a beaver. It's a pet.
A big wet one. Yeah.
No, it just smells like Taco Bell.
Oh my god. Moving on. So,
listen to Premises when known as Big Brown Beaver if you guys want to have a good time.
Oh man.
It's a beautiful song.
Same with Howard the Duck. Watch Howard the Duck. I recommend. So, he being Phil Bloombert, Philzy is what Howard calls him. He wants to do all these experiments on stuff and write papers on Howard. And he's like, no, fuck you. And so, like, it's like they introduced him for no reason, but then he becomes like one of their sidekicks. And eventually they find out that Jeffrey Jones's character, Dr. Walter Jennings, him and his crew in the same building that Phil works in, I think, used the laser that got Howard here. And they're trying to figure out why that happened. And in doing so, a big, huge accident happens. And it's
unstable.
It's unstable. And they beam down one of the Dark Overlords, apparently. And
whatever the fuck that is.
They possess Jennings' body. And Jeffrey Jones does this quite amazing, but grotesque voice, for when he transforms into the Dark Overlord. And it's pretty funny. It's probably the better part
one of those situations. Yeah, I agree. It's like, because that's the thing is the first half is Tim Robbins for me.
Yeah.
The back half is Jeffrey Jones. But this is one of those situations where you really have to separate art from artists, because it's like the role is good that Jeffrey Jones puts forth.
He is not good.
But he is not good. He's got many issues. And so it's like, if you're able to separate art from artist and can find enjoyment from Jeffrey Jones's performance, that is one of the only carrying things of this film.
Yeah, there are two things that are very unfortunate about... well, there's several things very unfortunate about Jeffrey Jones, but the two things that I find the most sad to me is that he is extremely talented, and he's in fucking everything.
Yeah, for a while he was. If it was 80s and 90s and it was a kids movie, he was in it. He was there.
Yeah.
It's bothersome. His grossness, if you do not know, is because he's a molester, right? He did molest.
Well,
he took photos.
He took photos of an underage boy, and nude photos. So, yeah, I would say that qualifies. He's a sexual offender. And it's not great. And he still gets...
And possessed child pornography and everything.
Still occasionally gets a role, and it's not so great. But there's other people in the industry that are under the same story. So...
Right. Yeah, there's a lot. So if you're able to separate from the art from artist, his roles can still bring enjoyment, because it is pretty fucking hilarious in this. But he does the voice for a while until Brian Steele takes over. I don't know if Brian Steele only took over after the Dark Overlords left Jennings' body.
I think it's after he leaves the body, because the voice seems relatively the same, unless they did a thing where they overlaid it. And it's so weird, because after the Dark Overlord leaves his body, and it's this weird I don't know some kind of D&D aberration, claymation thing that is 3 stories high.
It's ridiculous. It's so stupid, and it looks awful compared to everything else.
It's like, they just left it in the body. Films, come on, what is this? Yeah, you guys are supposed to be the forerunners of this shit.
I mean, it is Industrial Light and whatever his company is called. Yeah, it is Industrial Light something, right?
Something like that. I don't remember.
But yeah, they're the ones who worked on it in regards to the special effects. Yeah, Lucas is. Well, I'll find it. Industrial Light and Magic. That's
Industrial Light.
Yeah, Magic. So they worked on it. It should have been much better. Fucking Howard the Duck alone should have looked much better. God, Jesus, he looks awful. He's got flesh color around his eyes. Why? Fucking why? It makes no sense. It's just bad shit, man.
So, anyways, Howard the Duck saves the day, but he's not really a hero. And
he's a new kind of hero.
He's a new kind of... He's a new breed of hero.
Breed. That was it. Yeah.
So, another thing is, when the monster comes out of Jennings turns back into Jennings. And he had this gradual progression towards this uglier and uglier guy. And then, just immediately snap him right back.
Hair was getting all fucked up. Facial makeup was getting all fucked.
It really is the best part of the movie.
it really is, and that's kind of sad to say.
Yes, it is. It is.
But yeah, that's this movie. It's tasteless. Its tone is all over the place. It really doesn't know what the fuck it is. Could have used plenty of more rewrites. I've never read the comic. I will say that.
Me either.
I have, ever since childhood, I have hated this character and hated this film because it bored the crap out of me as a kid. And I probably should not have even watched it as a kid.
Probably
watching
not.
It now,
this is not for children, for sure.
No, and because he also overly sexualizes a lot of the women in his life.
Yeah, by the way, because we don't recommend this film, there is 100% a romantic relationship between Beverly and Howard. And the one scene that happens is incredibly awkward to watch with your wife and best friend. Can't imagine how it would be to watch with your children. So don't do that.
Well, I didn't watch it with my parents, thankfully. This is one of those films I snuck.
Yeah, I don't know how I watched this. I think I heard it existed and was like, man, I have to watch that. I had a Howard the Duck action figure. This is my origins with Howard the Duck. It came with a Silver Surfer action figure.
Oh my god.
So, I thought the Silver Surfer was cool because there was a show on at that time.
That's fair.
And
Silver Surfer is pretty cool.
He is. And so, he came with that, and there was also a little tiny comic book with that. And it happened to be an issue where the Silver Surfer and Howard the Duck met together, because that's what they do in the Howard the Duck things. He's always mixing it up with the other heroes and stuff, and it's a satire always. That's one of the things. If this film had been more of a satire,
it's not. It might have had a chance.
Definitely not. I don't know what it is. It's some kind of romp, maybe, but it's not satire.
It's awful. No, I absolutely hate this film. Before I give it my closing statement, I mentioned the Raspberries earlier. I wanted to go through them. It got a lot of nominations and won quite a few of them. Nominated for Worst Picture, Worst Director, Worst Supporting Actor, Screenplay, and Original Song, Visual Effects, Picture of the Decade, and that's it. The Picture of the Decade was years later. It was 1989 when that one happened. But the others were 1986. It also got nominated and won. It won the Best Picture and it won Worst Picture and Worst Screenplay and Worst Visual Effects. But the other one it got nominated for and won that I just fucking think is hilarious is it won Worst New Star, and that star was the 6 guys and gals in the duck suit. That was the naming on it. They didn't even bother giving a name to those people. It was just the 6 guys and gals in the duck suit. Oh man, the Raspberries. Why they exist, I don't know, but occasionally they deliver gold.
That's hilarious. I'm glad that all 6 of them won that award.
I really hope they gave them 6 separate awards too, and just didn't have to like.
It's so funny,
man. I love it.
So what you got for closing statements? Yeah.
Closing statement. I hate it. I do not recommend it. It's so fucking awful. Yes, I laughed a few times, but that's just because it wears you down to the point where sometimes it just gets at you, and you're just like, ha, yes, that's a good one, and like. It's just awful. Like watching as from a kid to now, I will say I thought it was more tasteless when I was younger. I thought there was a lot more racism. There's really not. It's just kind of interspecies racism.
Right. Yeah.
And it's not. It doesn't really come off as racism either. It just comes off as like New Yorkers.
Yeah, it's paralleling real racism.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be.
But they didn't even do that right.
But they didn't do it. Yeah, they didn't do it very well.
Yeah. No, I give it 1 star. I do not recommend it.
Wow.
It's just god awful. Like, dude, like when you were like, when I was just like, hey, we should do the Marvel playlist because I think it'd be fun, and you're like, yeah, well, let's go back even before the MCU. And I'm like, all right, yeah. So what? And I was like, what is that? That's X-Men, right? And you're like, no. And I was like, was it Blade? I don't remember. You wrote me in on this one, Faceless.
And I was so happy that it happened, and I'm ready, and I'm very happy for the journey to actually become, fun and watchable films. But there is, for some reason, a really strange place in my twisted, humored heart for this film. Moreover, the character Howard the Duck. Maybe I am a pervert. I would say that this maybe gave me a little bit of a furry awakening, but not for ducks. No! Why for ducks?
Not for ducks. Especially once you know what the duck penis is like. Then it's like, no.
That's no fun. I mean, it's like people, it might be for somebody.
It's like,
But barbed?
Maybe, but
it's barbed.
No, I mean, yeah, it's like the people who like love Knuckles, you know, and they're just like, yeah, Knuckles is great. And I'm like, have you seen an echidna penis? Because I don't know if you really want an echidna penis. Like,
but were they saying like they wanted to, you know, have relationships with
yeah, these are like the furries.
Okay,
these are the like the Rule 34 people who
I got
obsessively draw Knuckles fucking Sonic, and I'm just like, I get it.
Okay.
Like,
yeah, I get it. Yeah. So anyhow, I you know, I think I give it 100% a full face. No, I mean, it does get. I can't give it a half a face though because I get too much enjoyment from it. Right. I definitely don't recommend it, but you know, like maybe once, maybe just go watch it once, just so that you know that it happened.
Have your favorite drug of choice on hand, and just you know, get dazed, dazed and confused.
Face, just barely a face. It's not even really competent. The furry awakening? Because it was my first access, maybe. I don't know.
Not even before. I mean, I guess Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers is my thing, but like Gadget was like my furry awakening, where I watched Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, and I was just like, Gadget's just that's my thing. Is like if you give me a smart, well-written female character who is smarter than every other character in the spot, I'm attached to them immediately. Yeah. I'm just like, I love your intelligence. Hello, let's date. But, and that was Gadget.
Her and Zip are all over that.
No, no. That was in the real life with the real actors.
With the real actors. Show, it's not part of the canon. Okay,
it's not the show. It's just the chipmunk actor who played Gadget and the animated fly actor and. I constantly forget that we watched that movie, you know? The Chip 'n Dale movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Speaking of Sonic.
Oh, shit, I forgot about Ugly Sonic. All right,
Ugly Sonic.
I think that is the end of this episode. Thanks for coming along, and really, thanks, Greenie, for doing this.
You're welcome. It was fun. It was funner than I thought it would be.
It was a lot.
I mean, if I had to watch it by myself, I would not have enjoyed it.
No.
Watching it with you and your wife was very good. It made it much more of an enjoyable experience. And speaking of enjoyable experiences, we're going to be taking next week off, as is the new schedule we have. Our last Monday before the potato pick. I don't know. It gets a little wonky, especially with February being a short month.
Week, yeah.
But yeah, so we'll be taking next week off
of the month.
Yeah,
last week of the month. We'll say
indeed. And but if you last full week, we'll say the last full week of the month. That's why it's next week. But if you're gonna be upset missing an episode that week, we will have Bangers and Hash hopefully coming out around that time. So if you're interested in that is the exclusive episode on our Patreon. So if you are Patreon, so you can go down to patreon.com/greenandfaceless.
You got it.
And and check it out. Because I enjoy those episodes. Those are very fun.
I think
we're just talking the new shit. Yeah.
Just talking.
There's no real structure.
Not real. We just go back and forth with new TV, new movies that we've been watching. Sometimes we go maybe too in depth.
Yeah, maybe.
Sometimes we don't know how to talk about a certain thing, even though we're excited about it. Right. It's fun.
I will say that if that does interest you, if you want to get a sneak peek at that to see if it even further interests you, I will be talking M. Night Shyamalan's new film. So if you're interested in Knock at the Cabin and want to know what my opinion on it, that's where you're going to find it, is at patreon.com/greenandfaceless. So thanks everybody. And obviously this show will always be on YouTube or wherever the fuck you get it for free. So, if you're not able to contribute, we understand. We love having you here no matter what.
Right.
And with that, I'll sign off by saying I'm the Green Traveler from Gorsh.
And I am the Faceless Leon. Safe travels and good night. Green and Faceless on the Couch is a proud production of FictionWorks 19. Are you a fan of the show? Feel free to contact us at greenandfacelessfans@gmail.com or visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/greenandfaceless. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, or rate us on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much for listening.